Is everybody back? Let me hear you say yes. Thanks, Shauna.
Mhm. Can you guys all see it?
Good.
Perfect. All right.
So my first question to all of you is this. Have you ever felt like you had a difficult time giving bad news to someone? Or have you ever felt that it was just a tough confrontation that was about to confront you, somebody in your world? This little 5-step win is used by anybody in the world, whether you're a mom and you want to use it with kids, whether you want to use it with a roommate, whether you use it in conducting a meeting or giving an appraisal, or just plain talking to somebody where you're trying to make a change in a behavior and have some suggestions to make to someone. The first thing is, I think analyzing a problem is probably the biggest thing that you can do. How do you analyze a problem that needs to be fixed? And then how do you go about fixing it? So this solution is one of hundreds, but I'm hoping that after this session is over, that each one of you may be able to use it somewhere along the way. So can you see me too, Shauna? Because I can only see you. So is that because of?
This is because of I'm sharing my screen.
Okay, that's why. Okay, got it. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to talk to you just first about the boring slide, which is just what the heck is this thing? There's something that we learned in 6th grade, 7th grade science about the if-then approach to looking at a problem. And the if-then goes like this. When you're setting a goal, you want to say what you're going to do, where you're going to do it, and when you're going to do it. So goal setting gets kind of specific because you've got the what, the where, the when, and the why. But when you're really good at what you do, you add an if then to it. And that succeeds the when plan, because what it does is puts an action into your mind. And your brain recognizes that you have to advance beyond the what, the where, and the when to make something happen. Take an example. I want to lose 4 pounds before Christmas. So I'm saying what? I want to lose 4 pounds. When? Before Christmas. And where? That's going to be right here because I'll be walking, exercising, watching how many calories I eat or whatever. But if you take it to the if then level of planning, you say, if I do that, if I make this goal happen, then what? I get to buy myself an ice cream soda or whatever. You have a result or a reward in a way that comes with another level of planning, a 5-step win. Then by using this if-then statement, you can think through what you have as a strategy. And we're going to actually develop some strategies together here where we share with each other, just practicing actually how to use the 5-step win and share with each other some of your ideas for it. So the first thing is this, step number 1. I hope all of you have a piece of paper and a pen because we're going to do some things together where I'm asking you to write them out. First thing I'm going to ask you to do is to think about a situation in your life where you would like to talk to somebody about making a change in something that's happening. Let me give you some examples. Maybe you say to a roommate, somebody that's borrowing your clothes without asking you. Maybe that's a situation that you'd like to address. Maybe it's, you know what? You don't look me in the eye when you're talking to me. Maybe that's a situation that you'd like to address with someone. Maybe it's as simple as, you know what? You make fun of other people a lot. So can we talk about that, that ridicule or whatever? Maybe it's this. Maybe it's you do not honor your commitments. And as my dad always said, nothing short of death, namely your own, should keep you from honoring your commitments. So maybe that's something that you want to talk to someone about. Or maybe it's just like, like you say like all the time, like, and like doesn't like really like mean like anything, like, like what I mean. And maybe that's something you'd like to help someone stop doing in their world of vocabulary. Or maybe it's something as simple as this. Oh boy, I have somebody who constantly invariably interrupts me. And so I'm going to use that one. So I'm going to ask each of you to just take a moment and write down on your piece of paper what it is that you may like to address with somebody, that if you could picture yourself talking to them, you would say, when you blank, what is the behavior that you want to address? So everybody in the world has something that you may be talking to someone about. I'm not encouraging you to start a fight, not encouraging you to have a confrontation, but this is a professional and very smooth way to address a behavior. So take a moment and write down what you would like to address to someone as their behavior. While you're doing that, let me say this. The people who have given the most response to the 5-step win actually are men. Men in business who have a very difficult time giving feedback to anybody. Women, men, whatever. Sometimes it's more difficult for a man to give feedback. So I'd like to think that we women in the world of work and in the world of college studies, you know what? It may come easier for us, but this should help it be easier for everybody. So does everybody have number one, a 5-step win? A number one. Okay. I can't see faces or anything, so
Yes.
we'll just make it when you constantly interrupt me. And that's the one that I'm going to use as an example. I'd like to ask if somebody would share theirs, a couple, 3 of you. Anybody willing to share what you wrote down? It can be a made up one, it can be one that you really are working on, or something that just popped into your mind.
I can go, Joyce.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
This is Jean Busboom.
Jean. How you
And
doing?
I'm doing well. It's nice to see you.
Thanks, you too.
And I have a problem at work and in my laboratory. So I said, when you leave chemicals on the density meter, okay, to my lab tech, you can ruin the function,
Okay,
so it will no longer work.
Stop right there. When you leave chemicals on the density meter,
Yep.
okay, that's the issue that you're trying to address.
Yes.
Take that as your number one, that's perfect, Jean.
Mhm.
Thanks for the example. And where you were headed with that is really what comes into step number 2. So
Okay.
hold that one just a second. Let's let somebody else give their example. Anybody else want to share something that's an issue for you right now, or a makeup one?
I'll go.
I can share mine. Oh,
Okay, Catherine.
Okay. Just to my roommate, when you don't do the dishes unless I ask.
Okay, good one. When you don't do the dishes, okay, good. And actually, that never ever really happens, right? You're just making that up. Okay, don't do the dishes. Okay, good. Someone else, give us a few shares here.
when you interrupt while others are speaking.
Yes, if you can not interrupt while others are speaking. Wonderful. Thank you. Lachelle, good. Couple more.
I can share.
Okay, thanks, Jolene.
When you have headphones in at work.
Oh, right. Headphones don't work. I have to tell you that last time I substitute taught, I was in Maine. It was a 6th grade math class, and 6 girls walked in all with headphones, pulled all their desks together and sat there listening to music before the bell rang. The bell rang. It was one of my more fun days to try to say, gee, I'm gonna see, how do we learn math with all the earphones in and not listen to anything going on around us? So it's got to be tough at work just as much. Okay, one more.
I can go, Joyce. This is Allison.
Allison, hi, Allison. How are you?
I'm good, Joyce. It's good to see your face.
You too, sweetie.
I work with my team, which is international from all over the world. So we communicate via Zoom and Microsoft Teams. So being respectful while you are on webinars and computer sourced meetings, like showing up on time, making sure you are muting yourself and being polite to other participants. Excellent, excellent. And I'm going to call on somebody, so get ready. I have the list of participants here in front of me. Actually, I'm going to call on my counterpart from Holdridge, Justine Johnson, who's a junior with phys ed. Justine, do you have a good one for us?
I said when you don't clean up your mess. So it's like a roommate.
When you don't clean up your mess. Okay, great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So the first thing is, ladies, thanks to those of you who just shared. The first thing is actually isolating this issue to say, this is what I want to address. And it is a behavior. This isn't psych class, even though we've got some great psych majors here who may be able to weigh in. It is an issue that you as a person are trying to change. And when you think about somebody making a mess, or somebody not doing dishes, or somebody wearing their headphones at the inappropriate time, it's not something where you're trying to cause a fight, because that's not it. You'd simply like to address the behavior. So let's take a look at step number 2. And actually, this is Jean, where you were headed. When you leave whatever equipment that was on the whatever it was, it does what? Can you share with yours again and give us your when, Jean?
You bet. So when you leave chemicals on the density meter, it breaks down the function,
Okay.
the working, that no longer works.
Okay, and that's exactly where we're headed. She was kind of 10 steps ahead of all of us. When you leave chemicals on the density meter, boom, there it is. That's what you're addressing. What does it do? And what is the result? And she says it breaks down and whatever it does in the work environment. Let's take a few more, because one reason that you're trying to make a change is to say this result is unacceptable, or it's really not appreciated. Sometimes it depends upon if you're at work or working with children or working with roommates or your PTO meeting or just a boyfriend. But it's something that where the result is what is the issue for you that you really don't appreciate. So let's take a few of these again. Let's go. Jolene, would you work with yours here on the headphone issue and start with step number 1 and go to step number 2. When you do this.
Yeah. So when you have headphones in at work, it makes others feel like you're disengaged.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And I would take mine and say, when you constantly interrupt me, or it was Michelle's also, when you constantly interrupt, it makes me lose my train of thought. So what you're doing, behavior, result. Let's take a couple more. Somebody new that hasn't done it yet. Kim, would you be willing to share yours? Kim Grassmeyer?
Sure. I actually have a person who does my lawn, and when he cuts the lawn really, really short, it burns the lawn. So I don't like that.
When you cut the lawn really, really short, it burns the lawn. So you can envision yourself talking to your lawn boy.
Yeah, I sure can.
Very, very, very good one. Let's take another one. Chloe, anything with nursing and your major that you could address with us?
That wasn't one of the ones that I had written down. But I guess that's a good point to bring up. I could maybe say, when you don't address the laundry in the laundry room, it backs up the laundry for the night.
Very good. Very good. Anybody else want to share a couple more here?
I can share.
Thank you.
So mine, I have a roommate who comes home in the wee hours of the morning. So I just said, when you come home really late, it makes me worry about you.
Very good. Very, very good. Excellent one. Excellent one. Thank you for sharing that, Sophia. Rachel, how about you? Do you have one? Our team scholarship. Are you
Did
here?
you say Rachel?
I did say Rachel.
Yeah, I do have one. I work with a lot of coaches, and so when you bring me paperwork at the last minute, it sometimes makes it possible or makes it impossible to get the job done.
Oh, that's a great one. And it's great for everybody, whether it's an assignment at school or a situation at work. When you bring me your assignments and want it done immediately, it makes it impossible to get things done. Good. That's excellent. A couple more.
I could share one.
Great. Thanks, Tammy.
I work with a lot of staff in my building, not just teachers, but support staff. And so when you don't show up from break on time, and the result would be it affects the next person's schedule.
Say that again, please.
When you don't show up from break on time, it affects the next person's schedule.
Wonderful. Being a corporate trainer, one of the things that we used to say is, When people are late, yes, it messes up the whole schedule. And we were in the training's brain of saying, don't reward the people that are late by they're there on time waiting for you. Those by just saying, let's wait and reward the people that come in last. So this is a really good one, and it happens everywhere, whether it's a classroom, whether it's a sorority meeting, whether it's a PTO meeting, or whether it's kids coming to dinner. So,
Yeah, that trickle effect.
yes, so being late is a great one. That's a great example. Anyone else want to share theirs?
I have one working in communications.
Kylie?
Brevity is very important. So when you send extremely long emails, it makes me take the time to sift through what you're trying to say and decide what's most important.
And there you go. Actually, and when you get interrupted, okay. You know what? It's a great one. I remember talking to my daughter who used to work for Miller Coors and now works for Red Bull, and saying, she said, Mom, I would need to call you back later because I have 450 emails in my in basket. And some of them are just like Kylie mentioned. They're so long that you have trouble sifting through which ones are important to make something happen. Thank you, ladies, for sharing that. Let's go to step number 3. So you have the when you, whatever the behavior is, it does what the result is. Now we're going to talk about setting those behaviors and results aside and talking eye to eye with the person to say, gee, if you could do this and move forward, it's just a nice, easy conversation rather than causing a fight, rather than having a confrontation. It's just a simple dialogue with someone to make a suggestion. So let's take the email one that Kelly just recommended to us. When you send emails that are so long, it makes it difficult to sift through it. If you, I don't know if Kylie, are you still there? Okay.
I'm still here.
Okay. What would you say to add on to that, Kylie? Start from your beginning, when you do what, it does what, and then to talk about a new behavior, what you would like to see happen.
Yeah, so when you send very long emails, it makes me have to sift through the details of them to determine what the most important thing is that you're trying to say. So if you send shorter emails with clearer direction.
Good. Stop. And that's perfectly where we're headed. If you, let's take a couple more. Let's go back to the one about not showing up on time. And who was that?
I think that was me.
That was you. That was Tammy. Yes, it was you, Tammy. Okay. Can you take that one and run it through to a step number 3, the if you part, or start with the when you, so we kind of get it in our head again?
Okay. When you don't show up from break on time, it runs everybody else behind. If you show up on time or ahead of schedule, that would be nice.
Okay, perfect. That's perfect. Thank you very much. Let's go to the one of being respectful. Allison, that was yours. So that's a good one. And you're talking, whether it's adults or students, being respectful, especially with the world of IT the way it is. Could you take that one, Allison?
Yeah, absolutely. So just being specific, if you mute yourself, if you speak when no one else is speaking, and have appropriate actions while you are on camera, speaking specifically to students.
Okay, that's very good. Thank you. And let's talk about not doing the dishes.
So when you don't do the dishes, unless I ask, it becomes a mess that I have to clean up. If you would clean up your dishes when you're done using them.
Okay, good. So you did 1, 2, and 3. That was great. Thanks, Catherine. Very good. Let's try a new one. How about Linda? Linda Timmons, do you have a good one for us that you can give steps 1, 2, and 3?
I think so.
Okay.
So when you immediately respond with a closed mindset, it shuts down conversation. If you pause to consider the issue from a growth mindset.
Wonderful. That's very good. That's excellent. Excellent for the professional world. And let's take another one from a student. How about Sophia? We have yours. Are you there?
Which one? There are 2 of us.
Sophia, Sophia Harder.
Okay.
From Belden, Nebraska. Yes, go ahead.
I put, when you leave your shoes everywhere, it makes our room look messy. And if you would put your shoes on the shoe rack or take them to your room.
Wonderful. Okay, you guys are getting the great big hang of it. Let's go next to step number 4, which is probably already seen in your mind. When you look at your present behavior, it does what's the present result. So you're trying to move or encourage or stimulate the person that you're talking to into a new behavior. Why? Because it would give you a new result. So if I use this example, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I say, when you constantly interrupt me, it makes me lose my train of thought. If you would kindly let me finish a thought before you speak, then we would both learn something from each other, or however you want to say it. So let's take somebody through steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. How about Stephanie King? Are you there? Kingwit. Do you have one that you could share with us?
Hey, Joyce, I'm here. Yeah. So I work for doctors and they are super busy people, and marketing, I feel like, is a lot of the times at the bottom of their priority list, which is my job. So getting their attention can be difficult. So I started with, when you brush me off, it feels like my work is maybe unimportant. If you would just give me a few minutes of your time, then we could accomplish a lot more.
Stephanie, can you see yourself saying this to a doctor?
I think so. I feel like I've established a good enough rapport with the ones I work the closest with that I could say that.
I think the question being for all of us is that this is a very direct approach, right? It's very fact-oriented. It's not something that's, we're talking subjective versus objective here. And it's something that is pretty direct. So no matter where you work or no matter what phase you're in your college career, it is something that's just an honest way to deal with a problem. And many people will hesitate. They'll hesitate to go through steps 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Why do you think? Why would people hesitate to do this? What would stop us?
That you don't want to be confrontational.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Kim. Do you think this could be seen as non-confrontational?
Absolutely.
And how do we do that? Do we do it by saying, let's sit down and chat? How do we do it so we make it just a one-on-one discussion with someone rather than a fight?
I think you take it to a place where it's private, that you're seated instead of standing. You don't do it in a public place where someone else is going to hear. And you do it in a very calm way, not raising your voice, and a very matter of fact. My dad would say, don't use 3 words when 2 will do.
That's excellent. That's excellent. That's perfect. And when you think about just being with someone one-on-one, sometimes we get butterflies in our stomach because we think, oh my gosh, I have to address this and I don't know what to say. Or I guess I'll just brush it off myself right now and I'll address it later. Or the biggest one that most of us will do is called management by avoidance. And we'll just say, I'm just going to avoid this right now. If it comes up later, maybe I'll address it then. But we'll just hope that the issue goes away all by itself. So management by avoidance is not a way to handle any situation where you feel like you need a new result as a result of someone's behavior where it needs to be changed. It seems that the older we get, and I'm queen of that for this entire session, sometimes it becomes easier because it seems like, oh my gosh, I've seen it all. You can think back to a manager or an instructor or even your parent and say, you know what, they were really good at dealing with things like this because they could address it front up, one-on-one, and I would listen. I didn't get the hair on my back of my head, hair up on my, whatever you call it. I didn't let the hair stand on the back of my head. I didn't get angry. I didn't get into a position where I felt like I was being trapped. It was just a good conversation. And that's really what you want this when idea, this when approach to be. So let's take a few more and just say, how would you handle what you're doing. Let me call on somebody. How about Chloe? Have you got a good one that you can carry us through your steps 1, 2, 3, and 4?
So I kind of have a cleaning one as well. I actually had to address this with my roommate earlier this semester. But it's okay. It went really well. I said, when you don't clean up your messes, it leaves the apartment messy in more than one room. If you clean up after yourself without me asking, then this will help my anxiety and we'll have a clean apartment.
Wonderful. And you've already used it?
Yes. Yeah.
Worked? Kind of?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, great. Let's go to Abby C. I know that you are here this year without your mentor from last year, but do you have one that you could share with us?
Yeah, so I work at Richard Young. So when one of the staff members doesn't do their environmental round, it causes a delay for the rest of us and have to pick it up. If you do your environmental rounds, then it won't affect our patient care.
Wonderful. That's very good. Thank you. And let me go to Macy. Have you got a good one?
So I said, when you don't wear your mask around me, it makes me feel uncomfortable. And I said, if you could wear your mask, I'd be more comfortable hanging out with you.
You know what? And that's a really great one for we're in 2020. And it's probably something that maybe everybody in this Zoom meeting has said at one point or another. And if you haven't said it, but you feel it, Macy's just given us a good way to address it with the other person. So, and we didn't have to wear masks today, ladies, which was a great thing. Thank you, Macy. That was a great one. Let's go to Bailey. Can you give us a great one, Bailey?
Yes. So I said, when you talk over me, it breaks our communication flow. If you wait patiently for your turn to speak, then we will both be heard and share our thoughts.
Wonderful. That's perfect. Thank you so much. How about Kim Andreessen? Have you got a good one?
Yes, I do. When you do not complete reports on time, it does not reflect efficiency and professionalism in this clinic. If you type them the same day during your catch-up slot, then staff will fax them the same day.
Wonderful. And some of you are getting this, you've already heard some of the step number 1, but to carry it through to step number 4 is a good thing. Alyssa Wyant, can you share with yours with us, please? Are you there still? She was a Gold Torch student, so she already knows what's going to happen, right? How about, let's go to Britt Moeller. Have you got one? Have you got a good one?
I don't know if it's good, but I've got one.
Would you share with us, please?
When you forward a patient's call without addressing it or asking specifics, it delays the response to the patient. If you could at least ask specifics about their issue, then you may be able to address their question without forwarding it and delaying.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And let's take another one from a collegiate. How about Emily? Have you got a good one? Our December graduate, Emily.
Hi. Okay. So mine is when you please switch to talking about you after I share something about myself. It makes me feel like you're not interested, care about what I'm saying. You would respond to what I say first, then I'll be more open to switch to talking about myself and makes our conversation more meaningful.
Okay, thank you. I got a little echo there, and I'm not sure if everybody else did, but good job. Thank you so much. And let's do a last one. Stephanie Themis, and you'd share with us what you have.
So I had, when you don't show up on time, it makes me late and can possibly make me late to other things. So if you would just show up on time, my schedule wouldn't be messed up for the day.
And you know what? There could be 10 of you that have the late issue as one of your examples. And in each example, there's a lot of echo. Are you getting echo from me?
A little.
A little bit. In each example, it depends upon what your environment is. Are you in the classroom environment? Are you in the mom environment? Are you in your work environment? So I would just say to you that there's really no growth or advancement to any of us if we don't address these things at some point. As leaders, and especially as leaders that we hope other people will look up to, no matter what age we are, we want to be able to, in a kind, professional, and sincere way, address things like this so that there can be change and so that there is improvement in whatever we're doing. We want people to be able to look up to us and role model some of these things. And when you think about the opposite of that and shying away from, or just hoping that a situation goes away, really no leadership to that at all. And that doesn't mean that we have to step forward and be the tough guy, or to step forward and say, I'm going to hit this one, I'm going to get this nail right on the head, or to be in any way mean, evil, or rude in this presentation when you're trying to discuss something with someone else. It simply means that you can bring forward a factual, a simple, and a kind discussion that you hope ends in a different result. So let's go to step number 5. And this approach, we say you have to graduate on steps 1 through 4 before you can do anything. The 5-step win approach does really work. You'd be surprised the first time that you really say, I'm going to use this on somebody, and then you sit back and wait for the results, or you actually bite your tongue and don't talk, that something will happen. They used to teach us in IBM sales school that when you ask for the order, the first thing that you'll do is to sit back and wait. Oh dear. Did that just go away?
No, you're there.
Oh, I have a nothing screen. Okay, hold on.
Can you see Joyce?
Hold on. It just went to a blank screen. Let me see if I can get you guys back again. Well, as long as you can hear me, I'll keep going. Can you hear?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do need to, let's see.
Can everybody else see the screen?
Yes, Joyce, I'm seeing the 5-step when screen that you say you're not allowed to use it unless you complete step 5.
Yeah, okay, and I can't see my screen anymore. So I don't know what that was, what happened, but I think maybe a call came through on my phone, and it says click allow, but I don't see any place to allow it to come through. Having Zoom issues, launch the meeting, allow. Let's try that again. Okay, at any rate. Okay, so we said if there's an IT glitch, we just keep on trucking, right?
Yes.
So the thing is, you're not allowed to use this procedure. You're not allowed to use this process, and you have not graduated with the ability to be a win master unless you do step number 5. Step number 5 is the key to this. So as I was saying in IBM school, when you ask for the order, you actually stop, you go quiet, you go into your quiet zone, and you wait. And a lot of times people will ask a question looking for a different result, or ask for an order if you're in sales, and then you'll start talking right away, which kind of lets the person on the other end totally off of the hook. Well, if you're trying to make change happen and you're doing this dialogue working with people, then you want to be able to let them talk. When you use step number 5, you have to ask the question and actually bite your tongue and sit back and wait. If you wait 30 seconds, you wait. If you wait 5 minutes, you wait, but you wait until there's an answer. So let's just see if we have, is that 5 steps on there?
Yes. The last one is, would you agree?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's would you agree? So you can ask that in a myriad of ways. I can say, when you interrupt me, it makes me lose my train of thought. Would you agree to let me finish my thought? Then if you agree to let me finish my thought, then we can both share in a dialogue. Would you would you work with me on this? You can ask step number 5 however you want to. Would you agree to it? Would you work with me on it? Do you agree so that we can both move forward? However you want to ask your agreeing question, it's like closing an order, excuse me, in a sales call. So step number 5 is kind of important. You need to be able to wait, just wait. So let's take some examples of somebody that's carried it through to step number 5 and see how you would ask your question. Tammy, let's do yours with don't show up on time. Can we do that and carry it through to step number 5 and see what we've got?
Sure.
Thanks.
When you don't show up on time after break, it puts everybody else behind schedule. If you show up on time or ahead of schedule, then everybody's day runs as normal. Would you agree, or can you work with me on that? Do you understand, type of thing?
Okay, and when you do ask that, you wait, you just wait. Let's take another example. Allison, yours was good in working with the junior achievement students. Can you carry us through your step 1 all the way through to step number 5?
When you are disrespectful in a Zoom meeting, it prevents the meeting moving forward. If you could mute yourself and ask, we could learn our lesson and finish our meeting on time. Would you agree?
Great, thank you. That's perfect. How about Jessica? Jessica Klingelhofer, do you have a good one that you can share with us? Junior from Grant.
Sorry, I was muted. So I have, when you only focus on yourself in our conversations, it makes me frustrated because it feels like you don't think of others. If you think of it from that person's perspective, then maybe you would understand why we're upset. And sorry, I'm on 5 different papers. Then I said, would you agree that sometimes you need to think about what the person's actually saying and not only think of yourself? It's kind of hard to describe without the backstory of it, but
yeah. What do you hope that would happen after you use step number 5?
That the person would think about the actual problem that the person's confiding to them in, and not it's with my mom. Okay, that'll make it.
That's good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then it's like sometimes when I'm trying to confide in her and ask her questions, she only thinks of herself and is talking about like when she was a girl, this is what she did, and it's not really like helping me any. So seeing it from my perspective, and then once she helps me out, then we can talk about like her problems that she had and how she went through them. So just like her thinking of me first and then thinking of herself after.
That's good. And you know what? In using this with a parent or even a sibling, it's great to have just a really quiet atmosphere around you where you feel like you can really channel into each other's thinking. And I guess the key word for that would be kindness. So just making sure that somebody has the courtesy of understanding you just as much as you're trying to do the same for them. So that's a really good, thanks. Thank you, Jessica. That was great. Let's go back to a mentor again. And how about Kim? Again, you had some good ones. Kim Andresen.
Okay, so should I do the whole thing or just from where I'm finishing?
1 to step number 5, yeah.
1 to 5, okay. When you do not complete reports on time, it does not reflect efficiency and professionalism in this clinic. If you type them the same day during your catch-up slot, then staff will fax them the same day. And then I would pause pregnantly. And then I would say, do we need to change your schedule to allow you to complete these tasks on time?
Okay, that's great. Here's what happened. You just gave kind of an open door, another way of saying, hey, I know you're going to do this. How can I help you make it happen? So do we need to change your schedule? Comes at it from a different direction. And it's really still saying, I'm assuming that you're going to agree. Well, how can we make this work? That was great. That was really good. Can you tell us, Kim, what do you think the environment would be like in giving this kind of a message? Or can you create the environment before you give this message?
I think that it has to be created because sometimes people are very easily offended when you give them criticism. And this method is allowing it to be in a very complimentary way of allowing some degree of privacy, but still making your point known without attacking them, but also opening the field up of allowing some degree of compromise. So like I could say, well, the other clinicians are able to complete these tasks. Why can't you? However, that would come off not nice. So I think providing a slightly open-ended question, it's still putting your point forward that their behavior needs to change. However, let's offer a bit of compromise of some going back and forth.
Excellent. Excellent. And you can create the environment, can't you? It's not
Yes.
as was it you or someone else said earlier, you praise in public, you punish in private. So even though this is not a punishment, some
Correct.
people look at it as a, yeah, it's a tough message to deliver sometimes, or some people that do get riled about it or take offense to it, they will, as you said, become defensive. So Kim is right. Sometimes what you need to do is create the environment where this message is given. A lot of times when you're ready to give these messages, you think, oh my gosh, I'm nervous. Where am I going to do this? How will I say it? I know it's got to happen, but you can create it. You can say, I want this to be sitting in my office, or I will, when nobody's around the office and so's at their desk, I'll just go pull up a chair and sit by them. Or if it's with my mom, maybe we're sitting in the living room and we're comfortable, but you can create. I'll never forget having a job where we were taught where to have people sit. You want your decision maker directly across from you. You want your financial person to the right, the money person, and how to actually organize a room for the best kind of conversation. But when you're doing something one-on-one like this, you want to be able to create your atmosphere. And you don't want it to be where there's a lot of noise or there's a lot of people. You create your atmosphere. And that's something that's on you as the quote presenter, because you're professional enough to make it happen the way that it should. And when you do this, the key word again is kindness, because as much as some people do become defensive, you want to make it soft. You want to make it where there is a two-way street of communication and that you can go back and forth. It's not all you doing this. So let's take another one. How about, Saria, can you give us yours? You want to be a physician's assistant, right? Woo. Let's see if you've got a good one. If you can carry yours through from 1 to 5. Steps 1 through 5.
I didn't really made one for it. It was more like a personal one.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
So I only got to like 3, but I
We
put
can help you
when
with it.
you invalidate my feelings, it upsets me. If you validate my feelings, and then I'm kind of stuck on number 4.
Okay, again, when you don't validate my feelings,
Mm-hmm.
that's number 1. Number 2, it upsets me.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, if you would validate my feelings, and in other words, give me a little credit here, is that as far as you are?
Yeah.
Number 4 is the result of the new behavior. If you would validate my feelings, then it would what? How would that make you feel?
Probably, I don't really know. I guess say
Maybe you could say it would make you feel more like there's a two-way street here.
mm-hmm.
rather than just listening to what the other person's saying. You could say, if you would validate my feelings, then I would feel that I am being heard.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that. And then how would you say to the other person, how would you ask them to agree with you?
Would you just listen and not talk? I guess you can say that.
Right. Would you agree to just listen to my thoughts, period, question mark, whatever, and then wait and let that person talk? Okay, so ladies, no, gentlemen, ladies of the jury, a lot of times after you ask step number 5, what you get is a, no way, I'm not going to do this. You're attacking me, even though it may be something that's a very soft conversation. So what you want to do if there's one thing that you learn in life, it's always anticipate. So anticipate if the person, after the question on number 5, says, yeah, I'll give you a chance, or yes, I'll clean up my desk, or yes, I will not leave chemicals here, or whatever it may be. That's good. If they say, yes, I agree to work with you. The other side of that is that they say, you're crazy. I don't know where you're coming from, and this isn't working for me. So be ready. Anticipate what you will say. What is your comeback in a professional manner if somebody says, no, I don't agree to do this. I feel like I'm not interrupting you, or I feel like I do keep my room clean, or I do feel like I'm showing up on time. I just had that one excuse that one time, remember? And people that won't agree with you means you may have to do this again. And you may have to do this again. And oh, by the way, you may need to do it again at a different time, a different moment, same issue, until perhaps that person might see it. The other thing is, if there's another co-worker or another roommate or another person in your family or whatever your situation is that maybe sees the same situation, even though you're not over gossiping about, did you see so-and-so, but you have the feeling that someone else feels the same way about the issue, you may be able to have them in on this conversation, and maybe without ganging up on the person, be able to share some ideas together. Let's take another one from an alum. Shannon, can we do yours again? Shannon Schmeckpepper.
Shannon had to step out.
Oh, she did. Okay. How about Kim Grassmeyer? Let's go back to you and go all the way through to number 5.
Sure. Well, I decided not to follow through on the lawn example because not everyone has that problem.
And you did it right and you let him go.
Exactly. But one of the things that happens when you're an older person is I have found in my current work environment that I work with a lot of younger people who use foul language in the workplace, and it's very common for them, and they love it, and it doesn't bother them at all. But because of my upbringing and my age, that it's really intimidating, and I find it difficult. And so my scenario is, when you use foul language in our professional conversations, it minimizes the core message of that I really want to hear, of what you're trying to say. So if we could elevate back to a less intimidating or less explosive kind of language, then we'd be able to hear each other better and perhaps better collaborate. Would you agree? Or what do you think?
Wonderful. You know what? That's so today, right?
Right.
They're
very hip and they're very fun.
Yeah, that's good. It's so today. And when you think about people that are comfortable with tough foul language or truck driver mouth or whatever it may be, some people say that strong women, it's okay to do that. Other people say, just like what you have said here, the respect for whomever is in the room, it's not there. Especially when you do think about grandpa and grandma, or a parent, or a person, a boss who may be older than you, it's not appropriate. Shannon, is that 1 through 5 on the screen now? Are you guys there?
Yes, sorry, 1 through 5 still.
1 through 5. Okay, so do yours again, would you? And just carry it through while people are looking at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because that was excellent.
Oh, okay. when you use foul language in our professional conversations, it minimizes the core message that I really want to hear. If we could elevate back to less explosive or less intimidating language, then we'd be able to hear each other better and perhaps better collaborate, which is something that I would value. So does that make sense to you, or would you agree?
Does that make sense to you? Is a great way to close it. Does that make sense to you? It's a soft request for an agreement, right? Does that make sense to you? Do you agree with that? And usually you'll get a response from someone. And sometimes the simplest things that you're talking about, whatever the situation is, whether it's being respectful or cleaning your room or being late or long emails, it could be a simple thing, but it might never be addressed from that other party unless you touch it like this. And sometimes what you have done is made a difference in someone else's behavior to the good. So remember that just a very sweet, simple, soft conversation like the when approach could mean someone else's improving in a behavior. Let's take another one. How about Skylar? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, can you carry us through your 1 through 5, please?
Yeah, for mine, I did, when you interrupt me, it makes me feel like you aren't fully listening to me. If you could wait to speak till I'm done speaking, then you can hear the full viewpoint from the other person. Would you agree?
Yes, I think excellent. And another one, how about Emily? What have you got? We did one with you.
Okay, hopefully this doesn't echo as bad as it did last time. So mine all the way through is when you constantly switch to talking about you after I share something about myself, it makes me feel like you're not interested or care about what I'm saying. If you would respond or acknowledge to what I say first, then I will be more open to switch to talking about you next. And that makes our conversation more meaningful. Would you compromise with me?
That was absolutely perfect. And I think every one of us on this Gold Torch Society Day know of at least one person who it's all about them. And sometimes no matter what you're saying or giving or doing or reciting, you are upstaged, if that's the right word, by somebody who wants to bring the whole conversation back to themselves. So that is a really, really good one. And I'm going to ask you to do it again, just because there may be people on this Zoom call that would like to use this one. So would you do it again, please?
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so mine is when you constantly switch to talking about you after I share something about myself, it makes me feel like you're not interested or care about what I'm saying. If you would respond or acknowledge to what I say first, then I'll be more open to switch to talking about you next. And this makes our conversation more meaningful. Would you compromise with me?
And you know what, when you just said, and this makes our conversation more meaningful, that new result is really what you want to leave that person thinking. It makes our conversation more meaningful. So when you do step number 4, ladies, you want to be able to implant in that person's brain a good feeling, a new thing. This is how great it could be. So let's shoot for number 4. And can we work on it together? Let's go. Are you in with me? Are you in this boat with me? Marissa, let's see if you've got a good one here. Are you still on, Marissa?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great.
So mine is kind of for a school setting. When you don't work as a team, it creates a negative environment. If you consider others' perspectives and thoughts, then we can work as a team and create a positive working environment. Would you agree that working together would be a more enjoyable experience?
Very, very good. And you know what? We probably all have that one too, because there are sometimes where we're stuck with people that don't want to be a part of a team and they want to have the light shine just on them. And some people just aren't team players. So thank you for sharing that one. I'm going to go back to Jolene, if you're still there, and talk about the headphone issue and see how you will ask the person to coordinate with you again and how to make it work for getting rid of headphones. And this one maybe is one that you could do with, maybe there's 2 or 3 people sitting there with headphones. So maybe it isn't just a one-on-one in some situations that we have, especially if you are in a leadership role or a manager's role and you want to address a couple, 3 people that are in a group doing the same thing. So would you carry us through yours again on the headphones?
Yeah, we'll give it a shot.
Thank you.
When you have headphones in at work, it makes others feel that you are disengaged. If you could be present and available to communicate, then we could work more effectively together. Can you see where I'm coming from?
And you'd hope that those people would respond. The thing that is so neat about this approach is that, again, I was taught in some of the old schools to write things down before you let them spew out your mouth. And it is really appropriate to do that when you're doing the 5-step win. So if you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you just start going, it crystallizes those things in your mind before you take it to your mouth. And when you do that, you have a smoother, call it a presentation that you're giving to someone else, and a smoother delivery. And they also see it as a smoother delivery. You don't want it to be practiced. You don't want it to be read. You want it to just be, hey, when you do this, this is what it does to me. And if you could try blah, 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 and see the difference, this would be great. This would be great. Can we work on it and make it so that it is totally conversational? So let's take one more. And Bailey, let's go back to you. You had a good one. Can you carry us through your 1 through 5?
Yes. When you talk over me, it breaks our communication flow. If you could wait patiently for your turn to speak, then we will both be heard and share our thoughts. Do you think that this is something we could work on?
Wonderful. And I love the soft ending to that. Do you think it's something that we could work on? Because what you just did, Bailey, is make this a team thing. You're not throwing it at the other person where the defense mechanism starts to rise. You're doing it as a team. Could we work on this? And I would say that to all of you, if it's a situation where you could say, could we work on this? That's the best way to conclude, because you're in it with them, especially if you're manager, leader, or whatever. Just make sure that you're part of the solution. Okay, are we here as a career-oriented woman? Is that what the one we got up?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay, you are entrepreneurial women out here. You are assertive young ladies and mentors. You're all young and dynamic. So as women of the world of work, this is something that should be easy for you to implement. Let me say this, that if you never have to implement a conversation with someone, good for you, because it means things are running very smoothly, and that whether you're at work or whether you're talking to your mom on the couch or whether you're trying to teach your kids to eat their vegetables, if things are running very, very smoothly, usually you don't have to approach or broach situations where you are trying to change a behavior. But let's face it, in our lifetime, it'll happen, whether it's at work or at home. So just remember that we can be career-oriented, we can be dynamic, and we can be professional in using this approach no matter what we're doing. I'm going to share with you the next screen to say that if you ever want to use this and you feel like, oh, this just isn't right, I don't feel like it's moving in the right direction, I feel like whatever I say, somebody's going to come back at me and go, whoa, wait, get off my back, then call me if I can help you. Or if you just want to role play a situation or chat about a situation, just call me, and we can do that very confidentially and talk about one thing, not just how you prepare it, but the anticipated results. So remember when I said just a little bit ago, you may create this presentation of your own. It's just a little tiny thing. It shouldn't take you even 1 minute to say or to use the WIN approach. It's a short delivery. But what you also must do, besides graduating to step number 5 and asking for their cooperative effort, is to anticipate the result. When you anticipate the result, you're more ready to respond to whatever happens to make this new behavior happen. So if somebody is negative with you or negative about this entire approach, then like I said before, you've got to do it again. If you are getting a positive response from the other party, then what you have to do is become a manager and become a leader and monitor it. That means that, yes, I'm going to clean up my mess, or yes, I'm going to shorten my emails, or yes, I'm not going to talk over you when you're talking. But when it happens again, oh, and it happens again. Sometimes, you know, they say it takes 21 days to break a habit. Then that means that you need to go back again with the 5-step win approach and just remind, hey, we talked about this earlier. Remember that when you don't clean up your dishes, it really falls on me to have to clean up this place and do the dishes again. So could we just talk about how great it looks when this kitchen's clean? And can I count on you to just work this out with me so that when our parents come this weekend, it looks like a nice place? You may have to revisit it again and again and again. So let's take one person who would like to share as a mentor and one person who would like to share as a Gold Torch mentee, and just go through 1 through 5 for you, and we can close with those. A mentor, who would like to share yours? Maybe some.
This is Rachel. Hold on just a second.
Thanks. Okay.
Turn this down, but it's a little loud. So
Great.
Okay, so I actually recently did this conversation with a coach, and I think there's some of you that probably work in male-dominated fields as well, and so I'll talk a little bit about that afterwards. But basically, I said to the coach, I was like, "Hey, when you hold on just a second. Okay, then go over there. Go over there." Okay. Sorry, just a second.
It's okay. It's okay.
There you go. Go sit on the couch. Okay, so I just said to him, I was like, hey, when you bring me recruit paperwork late, it makes it almost impossible to be able to get a recruit hotel room or just get the recruiting things all set up. That then creates, when you do that, then instead, could you bring it to me like a week in advance? So then that way I can get everything set in order. That way it's a good experience for the recruit and it makes us look good. Would you agree that you want to provide a good experience for the recruits when we bring them in? Like, we don't want to bring them in last minute and then them have a bad experience and then them not choose to come here. And so that was kind of the conversation that we had. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like with males specifically, you have to be a little bit more upfront and a little bit more like direct and to the point. But what I do when I have these kinds of conversations, because basically I was calling him out for not doing what he was supposed to do on time. And so then it becomes an emergency situation where I have to drop what I'm doing and help him. And then sometimes there's moving parts included in that I have no control over. You know, if the hotel calls back and says, we don't have any rooms, that's the way it goes. And so that's what I was trying to explain to him. I was like, look, we want to give them a good experience. And so when I had that conversation, I went to his office. So he was in his comfortable space and I just stood at the door, obviously COVID. And I was like, hey, can I chat with you for a second? And he was like, yeah, sure. What's going on? And I was like, hey, like, I want to help you, you know, grow your team and make it better, but you have to help me help you type thing. And so that conversation went pretty well actually. And he was like, yeah, you know, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, okay. But I think the thing to remember with certain requests is if it's a reoccurring thing, that's when you get another person involved in that conversation. So in like my situation, we could pull the director of athletics. So it's somebody even higher than me that can kind of like lay down the law, but I don't really like involving him unless I absolutely have to, because I want the coaches to know that when I ask them to do something, that I mean business and that they need to do it without me having to get, you know, the principal involved or, you know, whatever type thing. But I also don't really like calling them to my office because then they get intimidated or they feel like they're in trouble. And it's not always that they're in trouble. It's just, we're trying to find a compromise.
But you bring up a really good point, Rachel, on going to his office where there is a comfort level and there's not as much maybe animosity, because when people say they're called to their manager's office, it's always, you know, it's either good or bad. So what am I going in for? So going and having the fortitude to say, I'm going to be in his comfort zone is a smart thing that you did. That's nice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And one more collegian and we'll close up. Who wants to share theirs from 1 through 5? And I think there's some of you I didn't get called on. So anybody who would like to volunteer for that.
I can share mine. So mine was with my roommate, and it's just like when you come home in the wee hours of the morning, it makes me worry about you. If you could just text me or call me if you're going to be late, then I wouldn't be so worried about you. And like, would you agree that this is something that would work for us?
That's perfect. Thank you. I'd like to thank all of you who did share your parts, and just encourage you that when the situation does come up where you might say, hey, the when approach would work for this, it will organize your thoughts and help you with a smoother delivery. So my thanks to each one of you for being bold enough to step forward and give your thoughts and your examples. And I wish you all tremendous success, and would just say, you're the best. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joyce.
Joyce, no, Joyce, you're the best.
You're the best. Thank you so much. That was a great presentation. Does anybody have any questions for Joyce now that we're kind of all back in the gallery? Any follow-ups?
Anybody?
Joyce,
Joyce,
how
I have a
say that you've used this style over the years? Like, when did you really learn to bring this into your repertoire of how to work with people?
When did I learn it? I believe that I wish I had learned it earlier, because all through my world of work, and many times, who was it that said that we're in sometimes we're in a man's world. And for me, starting out, I was the only female of 33 men in IBM when I started, or moving through the system. I learned it when I actually became a trainer, and I wanted to be able to present different alternatives to managers. So studied it, worked it, and read just a lot, and was able to create a presentation around the 5-step win. But like I said, I wish I'd learned it a lot earlier, because I could have come across a lot smoother in some of the deliveries that I gave.
Perfect.
Joyce, I have a question, or just if you would react.
You could tell me who you are, because I can't see my screen right now. So
sure, this is Kimberly Grassmeyer.
I recognize your voice. Okay.
Yeah. First of all, masterful job. Thank you so much. I learned from watching my daughters-in-law. I've certainly been exposed to assertive communication for years and years and years and years, but I don't use it very well. And one of the things I learned from watching my obviously younger daughter-in-law is that in addition to asking for what you want, since we can't control the behavior of the other person, is that she has an amazing ability to walk away. Like, she asked for what she wanted, and you have every right to behave to respond how you want. But I she never would say this out loud, but I still have to protect myself, and I have to do what is right for me. So if we can't agree on this, then I'm not going to engage. So like you said, we have to go back and go back and go back. Thought about just the ability to step away from that conversation and not badger and not go, not go back and back and back to the person in the immediate term, but really give them the space to think through what you said and to see that it might be in their best interest to do that.
And you know what, Kim, sometimes you're absolutely right. She can teach the rest of us as well. Sometimes the right thing to do is to walk away. You can give so much of yourself in trying to make improvements or to try to enhance someone else's opportunities. And when you see that you're being met by that brick wall, sometimes the right thing to do is to walk away. That doesn't mean you give up if there's a different approach, but sometimes just walking away is the smartest approach.
Thanks.
Good comment. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Anything else for Joyce? Well, Joyce, thank you again. That was amazing. We really appreciate it. Hopefully your screen issues come back. So we're a little ahead of schedule. So why don't we go ahead and take another 5-minute break so you guys can stretch and get another maybe caffeinated beverage, and then we'll come back and Kimberly Grassmeyer will be up.
Woohoo!
Kristen, I don't know about you, but I used my last 5-minute break to go pet my dogs. So
I think that is a good use of your 5 minutes.
Right.